I don't envy the next speaker following that. Sharon mentioned very briefly there in her talk something called the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, if you can remember that. She also mentioned a lot of the things that were going on for her while she was in, which led me to kind of realize that Scientology actually does hide. It hides behind what we call, or what they call, front groups. There are so many of them. A lawyer from, I think, LA, Graham Berry, said they were hiding behind 162 front groups. It's actually more than that now. They are hiding behind a lot of front groups. One of these front groups is a group called Narconon, which claims to be the most effective drug treatment in the world. Our next speaker is going to tell us something different. I'd like to welcome David Love to the stage.
Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about Scientology's, one of their money machines. It's very lucrative, called Narconon. I ended up at Narconon in Quebec, called Narconon Trois-Rivières, the second largest Narconon in the world. It has a capacity of 100 patients with over 80 staff. I was on in the program for 5 months, and then I was recruited onto staff along with 4 others. There was 5 of us. They paid us $100 a week, which is $250 an hour. With deductions, we had to pay for our meals on top of that too. So when we were in the province of Quebec, part of Canada, it's all French, and most of us couldn't speak the language, so to leave there was very difficult. Narconon is 100% Scientology. It's set up exactly like an org. We have divisions, we have qualifications, we have ethics officers, the whole thing, it's all 100% Scientology. When a patient arrives there, they start with the training routines, auditing sessions, everything is the same as Scientology. So after I finished the program, I took the courtroom supervisor's course, and then I was a registrar, and then a graduate officer. During my time there, it's like a military compound. They have student control, they have security, walkie-talkies, they're counting you every 15, 20 minutes. It's very paramilitary-like. Even at roll call, you line up in divisions, and when you're on staff, and it's just really quite the place. But the abuses, the human rights abuses, is the main thing. People that were patients there had paid $23,000 to go there. And if they broke one of the rules, they had to go through an ethics cycle. And then they were put on forced labor. Some worked all day long. One young lady who was pregnant, they gave her a snow shovel, lots of snow in Canada. And she was told to shovel this snow from one place to the other. She finally got it done after several hours, and then she went up to the ethics office with a smile on her face, thinking that she was finished. They sent her back down. She had the shovel in her hand, and they told her to shovel. Sorry. To shovel the snow back again. She was pregnant, just a young lady. And I'm sorry about this. There were so many people abused there. Staff, like predators, taking patients, having sex with them, abusing them. It was really a place of hell. And it needs to be told. So when I was on staff, I started learning about the place that it was Scientology, because when I got there, most patients don't know it is Scientology. And finally, when I got my own computer that wasn't blocked for certain websites, I was able to access the internet. And I had to get the hell out of there. And I contacted Bonnie Woods in England, who put me in touch with Jerry Armstrong. And they helped me get out. One evening, when it was dark, I had a federal agent pick me up from the Canada federal government. and they hid me away in a motel for 2 days because they threatened to kill me, and they declared me an enemy on my Facebook wall. And then I had an interview with the intelligence police for a couple hours, and then I went back again with the reporters and the police to get the rest of my stuff. And they kept harassing me and threatening me. It got so bad that I ended up in the hospital for 2 days, diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And the doctors there were very, very good. They sent me to another place for 10 days of deprogramming at a crisis center. So once I started getting it back together, I thought, you know, these guys, these guys, they're not going to continue on like this because they are damaging people, they're hurting people. When these patients graduate from there, they're recruited onto staff. I mean, they had an apartment complex just down the road from Narconon. There was about 9 staff staying there, and they relapsed almost immediately. And like I said about the abuses with the patients, they even had guns there. One of the patients who had a baby with the legal liaison officer, he shot himself in the head. He couldn't stand it anymore. They took his medication away. That's what they do at Narconon. They don't allow you to have any psychiatric drugs or any medications that help you with mental coping problems. One person jumped out of the second floor roof, tried to commit suicide. It's a very, very wicked place. But anyway, so what I did after I left Narconon, because of my background, I had some ability to start filing complaints with the Canadian government and Human Rights Commission, Labor Relations, various government agencies. And I worked on it for about two years, I guess, after I got out. And 2 months ago, finally, after visiting the senator in Ottawa and a few other government agencies, the health agency in Canada shut down the second largest Narconon in the world. And they could, right after they shut it down, the International Association of Scientologists, the magazine, I got this from Florida, it's 108 pages. 46 pages in this book are about Narconon. Because they were so embarrassed, it was such a devastating blow that they had to promote Narconon to the Scientologists to say, hey, we're doing good, we're doing good. Canada Narconon's not mentioned in here. Now there's Australia. It doesn't exist anymore in Canada. It's not going to again. And so we're working on the United States right now, the biggest one in the world, and one in Sussex, England. We have human rights complaints over there. We have about 7 cases coming up at the Human Rights Commission in Canada against Narconon, Narconon Incorporated, Able International, the Church of Scientology in Montreal, the Church of Scientology International, and even David Miscavige is named in the charge. And if he ever steps foot on Canadian soil, I will be the first one to hand him the subpoena, the summons. He thinks he's going to get away with this. David Miscavige is not going to get away with this because all the decisions really come from him up top. The tide is turning for Scientology. It really is. I checked the Google position this morning, and they're starting to hurt really bad. And I'm not shedding a tear for that, that's for sure. My family lives on the other side of Canada, which is a long ways away from where I live. Now, I wish I was with my family, but I'm not. All my children are back there. I have to stay in Quebec to finish these trials and whatnot. And one of the saddest things at Narconon was I met this girl, beautiful. She has twin daughters. At Narconon, they have the purification rundown. They call it the sauna, clear mind, clear body. Now, I think you mentioned that they give you up to 5,000 milligrams of niacin. The maximum you're supposed to take in Health Canada is 500 milligrams in a healthy body. People that go into Narconon are not healthy people. They're drug addicts and alcoholics. They have compromised livers. The maximum is 500 in a healthy body. They're giving them up to 5,000 milligrams. A lot of people have hepatitis C. They have stage 1, 2, 3 fibrosis. They take this niacin, they're sick. One person was taken away to the hospital in a coma for 3 days because they didn't give him his insulin. Other people are taken away in ambulance with seizures. People are dying in Narconons. 3 people just died at Narconon Arrowhead. 1 this year. 2 within the last 6 months. Italy. Trois-Rivières. They're dying in these Narconons. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you for talking. Thank you.
Anyway, there was this lady at Narconon Trois-Rivières who I loved very much. She had twin daughters. She shouldn't have gone into the sauna. She had stage 2 liver fibrosis. I received the autopsy coroner report last year. Her liver was 50% destroyed. I'm going to end this quick and just say that I'm going to keep after Narconon, Scientology's money machine, until I draw my last Irish breath. Is there any questions? Thank you.
Following that, Sharon mentioned very briefly there in her talk something called the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, if you can remember that. She also mentioned a lot of the things that were going on for her while she was in, which led me to kind of realize that Scientology actually does. One of these front groups is a group called Narconon, which claims to be the most effective drug treatment in the world. Our next speaker is going to tell us something different. I'd like to welcome Edgar Love to the stage. I don't envy the next speaker. It does hide. It hides behind what we call, or what they call, front groups. There are so many of them. A lawyer from, I think LA, Graham Berry, said they were hiding behind 162 front groups. It's actually more than that now. They are hiding behind a lot of front groups.
Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about Scientology's, one of their money machines. It's very lucrative, called Narconon.